Good day, dear students. Today we are starting to study a new discipline, organic chemistry. The topic of today's lecture is classification and nomenclature of organic compounds, chemical bonds and mutual influence of the atoms, isomerism of organic compounds. Speaker, Doctor of Pharmaceutical Sciences, Professor Wilczynska Elena. Contents: Concept of organic chemistry, Butlerov's theory of structure, classification and nomenclature of organic compounds, chemical bonds and mutual influence of the atoms, isomerism. Practically directed educational objectives of the lecture is to study the subject of organic chemistry, nomenclature and classification of organic compounds, Butlerov's theory, chemical bonds, isomerism of the organic compounds, which are base of the medicines or drugs. Test. What is the subject of study of organic chemistry? The correct answer is D, organic compounds. Organic chemistry is a branch of chemistry that studies the structure, properties, and reactions of organic compounds, which contain carbon in covalent bonding. Nowadays, it's known about 5 million organic compounds. Organic compounds are of great importance for plants, animals, and humans because these compounds are basis of life. Organic chemistry is very important for medicine and pharmacy because more than 90% drugs consist of organic compounds. You can see natural organic compounds in the nature. Butlerov's theory of structure of organic compounds. This theory has 4 main points. First, atoms in the molecules of organic compounds are connected between each other according to its valence. Second, properties of organic compounds depend on either atoms and its amount in the molecular or atom sequence. Third, atoms and atom groups of atoms in the molecule have mutual influence on each other. Fourth, knowing reactionary capacity of the molecule, it's possible to predict the structure of the molecule, and on the contrary, knowing the structure of the molecule, it's possible to predict its properties. You can see different formulas of organic compounds. Structural formula, complete, shortened, simply, molecular formula. Molecular formula presents in 2 types for ethanol, models of the molecule of methane as example. Classification of organic compounds. Organic compounds are acyclic and cyclic compounds. Acyclic compounds are saturated and unsaturated compounds, alkanes, alkenes, dienes, alkenes. Cyclic compounds are carbocyclic and heterocyclic compounds, cycloalkanes, cycloalkenes, and arenes. You can see many representatives of these classes. Acyclic are compounds that don't contain any cycle in their molecules. Saturated are compounds that contain only sigma bonds. Alkanes are saturated hydrocarbons that contain only sigma bonds. Unsaturated are compounds that contain sigma bonds and pi bonds, double bonds or triple bonds. Alkanes are saturated hydrocarbons that contain only one double bond. Dienes are unsaturated compounds that contain two double bonds. Alkenes are unsaturated hydrocarbons that contain triple bond. Cyclic are organic compounds that contain any cycle in its molecules. Carbocyclic are hydrocarbons containing a cycle that consists of only carbon atoms. Cycloalkanes are saturated hydrocarbons containing a carbon cycle. Cycloalkanes are unsaturated hydrocarbons containing a carbon cycle. Arenes are aromatic compounds that contain benzoic ring. Heterocyclic are organic compounds that contain cycle between atoms of carbon and other elements. You can see the most important functional groups of organic compounds: halogen, carbohydrates, alcohols, phenols, simple esters, aldehyde, ketones, carbonic acids contain very important functional groups. Nomenclature of organic compounds. There are trivial, rational, and international union of pure and applied chemistry nomenclature, IUPAC. Trivial nomenclature. At first, organic compounds were named by chance. For example, because the natural sources of its receiving or their properties, citric acid, formic acid. Rational nomenclature. It was the first nomenclature in which the structure of molecule was considered. As example, methane and methylmethane. The IUPAC name of any organic compound consists of three parts: root, suffix, primary or secondary, prefix, primary or secondary. Wood root. It is the basic unit of the name. It denotes the number of carbon atoms present in the principal chain of the organic molecule. You can see types of carbon chain and general name and primary suffix of alkan, alkene, alkane, alkadiene, alkadiene. In this table, you can see chemical formula of organic compounds, correct name and wood root and primary suffix in correct name. In this table, you can see names of organic compounds which contain secondary suffix. For example, ol for ethanol. In this table, you can see substituent groups. There are many important substituent groups you can see in this table. For example, fluoro, chloro, bromo, iodo, nitro, nitroso, diazo, and so on. In this table, you can see correct names of organic compounds with secondary prefix. For example, bromoethane. So, correct name of the compound contain secondary prefix, primary prefix, word root, primary suffix, and secondary suffix. Types of the chemical bonds. There are 4 types of the chemical bonds. Covalent bond. This is the main type of bond in organic chemistry. It formed is between atoms with similar electronegativity. In this case, common electronic cloud is formed. Polar bond. This is a covalent bond between two atoms with different electronegativity, in which electron pair is not shared equally. Ion bond. This is a bond between two atoms with different electronegativity. Difference of electronegativity is very big. Donor-acceptor bond. This is a type of covalent bond, but it has different origin. In covalent bond, a pair of electrons consists of two electrons from two atoms. But in donor-acceptor bond, only one atom gives two electrons, but another atom accepts one electron. Semipolar bond. This is a type of donor-acceptor bond. Then one atom has two free electrons and another atom has 6 electrons. Hydrogen bond. This bond is formed between atom of hydrogen and negative atom. This bond is designated as 3 points. Test. What is the name of the bond which formed between hydrogen cation and some negative atoms? The correct answer is D, hydrogen bond. Electronic effects in organic compounds. In organic compounds, there are two types of electronic movement of electronic density. Inductive effect, Mezomeric effect. Inductive effect is the movement of electronic density by sigma bonds. Inductive effect depends on the electronegativity of the substituent and the number of bonds between it and the affected site. Mezomeric effect is the movement of electronic density by p bonds or conjugate systems. Isomerism. Compounds with the same molecular formula but different structures are called isomers. There are two types of isomers: constitutional isomers, stereoisomers. Constitutional isomers, when two different compounds have the same molecular formula but differ in the nature or sequence of bonding. For example, butan and isobutan. Stereoisomers are compounds where the atoms are connected in the same order but with different geometries. For example, alpha glucose and beta glucose. Today we have studied a new material about new discipline, organic chemistry, which study organic compounds, medicines or drugs, nomenclature and classification of organic compounds, types of chemical bonds, isomerism of the organic compounds. I recommend you some very important books of organic chemistry for students. And thank you for your attention.